You'll get your point across, trust me. Yeah, it's David Bowie and Mick Jagger dancing in the street, and they do this really weird kind of gay dance. It's just kind of rubbing
All
on
right.
each other.
Hey. Hey, hey, hey. This is the Bachelor Pad radio, YouTube, Facebook Live, although I don't know if I'll be able to get it exactly up and ready 100%. I definitely need to walk this way. I need to walk this way, and what did I do with my phone? So we'll see if we can get it up. We are live.
Hello, guys.
Hey.
What's up?
Yeah. Dude, that was just a cluster F of trying to figure this out. We definitely need dual computers for everything we're doing.
I didn't even know what you were doing. You just stopped talking for a second, and I kind of felt like I was dead.
Yeah. Well, that's what happens when Jakey stops talking. That's why I talk aimlessly at all points throughout the day.
Because when you stop talking, you just kind of look at people while they keep talking, and everyone's so used to you not stop talking. And
but look at that was the gentleman who was in earlier, right? He was a new customer. What, like maybe not even a week, maybe 7 days. Teetering. I want to say closer to 5.
Yeah, you sold him on something just that week prior, and he was coming back for what?
And
more?
came back and bought into, because that's one of those you can never judge a book by its cover technically.
Yeah.
Because I was almost like, oh, balls, right? Like, he's not gonna dig the way this conversation's going,
right?
But he actually did, and he
yeah.
brought up a really cool point. And I guess he said that he had gotten into some shenanigans with the whole like street pickup artist, and they were doing that they were doing whatever, and I guess it was in Canada.
I didn't even hear him saying anything about that. What happened?
Yeah, that he was doing something like there was the pickup artist. I don't know if you guys ever saw it. Did you ever watch anything on the pickup artist? The guy who wore a bunch of chains and a bunch of weird stuff.
It sounds vaguely familiar. Could you recap? Picking up, as in picking up like women on the street? Or
well, no, it was a philosophy on guys. This guy wrote a couple books and did a couple things on how to pick up. And it doesn't matter how good looking you are, whatever. There were certain tricks of the trade and
money. Yeah.
Well, no, ironically, but dude, how many girls do you see with like just broke dudes?
Too many. Infinity.
Exactly.
Infinity women, actually.
So it's kind of random that is a thing, and it does technically happen. So I don't know why or how that actually that they do that. I mean, I advise my sister. I'm like, look, out of all the guys, right, out of all the dudes out here, I know it seems kind of materialistic, but mess with someone who is actually doing something with their life, or
Right.
It doesn't have to be rich, but somebody
it's
who's got their stuff together and has a couple dollars.
As superficial it is it's almost a good indicator on whether or not they have a drive or a passion in life. I mean, unless it was inherited money, of course, they didn't earn it. If you're someone that wasn't born into the cash you have and you earned it, you went out there and did it, that means you're at least doing something.
For sure.
You're at least doing something, which is more to say than a lot of people that are kind of going through a life that's maybe not their own.
And but see, I don't take the same advice. I actually like to date women that are not doing all that well, or actually I don't care. It could be either or, but I guess there's a larger pond of girls who still haven't figured it out, haven't figured themselves out. If anything, I can be a little bit of a mentor,
right,
in between the touchy-feelies and whatever, right? I'm going to give you good advice. If you did want to do something good with your life, what do? You hear when I talk to people, I'm like, why aren't you out? Why aren't you in school? Or you're at this job, and it does nothing, but you're there because you're comfortable.
Well, that's what I was seriously thinking about this earlier. I was just sitting on my own, and I was like, you know what? College girls scare the crap out of me, because they're just they're taking in stuff, and they're learning, and they're smart, and they have all these ideas, and I'm coming around doing my own thing, and I'm gonna make a fool of myself. Like when I'm talking to like someone that's in this area and they're just, they got a job here, they're interested in this or that, I sound like the man. But then I talk to some girl that's in some sort of like dissecting the literal poetry of Shakespeare class, and she kind of points out certain things that I would never see, and I'm like, oh, you're kind of intimidating.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. Like, it's not like success that scares me. It's just, the intelligence. It's like I don't know if I'm afraid of women that are smarter than me or not.
See, I go out of my way to befriend people that are smarter than me.
Yeah.
Because I'm not a very smart dude, right? I had a history of being football.
Yeah.
Girl, boob, right? Like that was it. And I paid attention to what I wanted to. Now, granted, I was kind of raised by wolves, right? My mom was kind of wily. My dad was kind of wily. I moved back and forth between here and Texas. So I had to deal and adapt with, coming from, when I moved to Canton, obviously a little bit more affluent neighborhood and, everything was just kind of good here. But we lived on the wrong side of the tracks.
Right.
Well, actually, we lived in a neighborhood next to doctors, principals, dentists, and all this stuff. But in that same token, my dad was a guy who worked 7 days a week, 10, 12 hours a day. So it was weird for me as a kid to look at my friends' parents and have them, I could see the look in their eye. I could see what they would say. I could overhear stuff. I was a kid. I was, oddly, observational even as a child. And when I looked and I was like, wow, they're not the same as us. They kind of, look down a little bit, right? So I remember looking at my dad in the driveway and he's out there, with drinking a rum and Coke and, working on his car when they take their cars to get work done, right?
Completely different
He's got
universe.
cut-off shorts. I didn't see cut-off shorts on anyone in my neighborhood. Like no fraying of the shorts.
Just wearing slacks.
Yeah. Like, it was a
shirt in and wearing a tie.
Then again, your family like moved all across the country, so you guys are bound to be different.
Ooh, you know what? Haha. That was good. I didn't check your mic. You didn't say anything during mic check, so.
Oh no.
How about that?
Were you a ghost?
You were kind of ghostly. He's got the crazy creepy eyes on me, so.
Uh-oh.
Okay, there you go.
How often? Wait, so where have you actually lived, state by state?
Dude, you really want the?
Yeah, I thought it was
Michigan,
just Texas and Michigan. You never really gave me the full dissection.
Tennessee,
in Michigan, and it gets weird and creepier as like I've become an adult because then it just goes haywire. Right.
Okay.
But I was born here. And like I was born in St. Mary's, hospital in Livonia. My whole family was Livonia.
Gotcha.
So then my parents, half of my family, like my mom's family, moved to Texas when I was 3. So if you ever wonder why, like how somebody like me can be so, wacky and zany and, it comes with just horrible, like move your kid around the nation.
You had to adapt to every social situation you could probably think of as a child, right?
Yeah, you name it. I've done weird stuff like take buses with, I've taken buses across the U.S., right, from Texas to North Carolina. But I moved to Texas when I was 3. I was there. My mom then married some random dude, and he was in the military or whatever, so we had to move to, like, one of the Carolinas, wherever they have a military base.
Yeah,
there's one there somewhere, right?
Yeah, probably South Carolina, I think.
Yeah. So I moved there, and I go to, like, preschool there, right? And it was weird because even then I have like one of my first, not one of my first memories, but a memory where, I was obviously aware of sexuality at a way too young of an age whenever you're in preschool, like the kissing and everyone take a nap on your things and whatever. I have a very vivid, recollection of some stuff that was there also.
Yeah.
So I have that. Then she broke up with him. Actually, the dude sat on me. I wouldn't get up off the couch. And there was a whole bunch of, like, we had like a sectional or whatever. And I'm sitting, and it was classic, like, urban cowboy, right?
Okay.
We were living in a trailer park.
Okay.
On the edge of the woods by a military base, dude. And seriously, and he would just drink beer until, he went blind, kind of stuff.
Like it's a sport, huh?
Yeah. A couple weird things, and I haven't. This is kind of like weird regression therapy for me because I haven't been down this weird, corridor of the old brain in a while.
I love taking you down there.
Yeah, and it was the first time that I ever ate all my Easter candy in one setting. Like, I found the Easter basket, and the funny thing was, Mom and stepdad were really drunk that night, right?
Yeah.
So they got drunk. It's a holiday for them, I guess, the day before Easter. Woo,
Yeah.
So they were drunk, and I kind of like, hey, Mom, wake up. Hey, random dude married to my mom, like one of the 6, wake up. My mom was married 6 times. So I'm like, wake up, right? How about somebody, get up? Nobody got up, so I just went out and started eating my Easter basket.
Yeah.
And I ate all of it enough until I got sick, in the stomach. And I'm a little kid. I can't be but like 4 years old or whatever.
Yeah.
Well, in that same time, like 4 to 5 years old, this dude, I don't remember him being like a horrible person all the time. Just, he just wasn't my dad, and he didn't really care. Like, I've got this F trophy hanging out all the time, and my hair is like, orange. My mom didn't cut my hair, so I had like an orange afro. And I think he took me to the military base and got my hair cut. And so that was the first time this had ever happened.
Like that ever since.
I let it go. I had a man bun last year.
No, you didn't.
I did. It's creepy and disturbing.
So did I.
I'll show you the thing. Yeah, you were coming in after I cut mine.
Really?
So my man bun predated yours.
Wow.
How about that?
I seriously, I would not even be able to like picture you with anything.
Was this before I started coming by?
Yeah, I think when I came here, I cut it.
This must have been before anyone here was born.
What are you talking about? It was last year, unless you guys are like a year and a half.
Like, I started
I'm
coming here,
I'm
like, in
only
May or
9 months
June
old.
Okay.
So.
last year.
So look, so I'm there, and this dude, and I think this is what the catalyst was for that divorce was. I'm sitting on the couch and watching TV, and I had like a Tonka truck, like I always had, and you would assume I would have like big trucks or whatever now, because I guess there's like 17 stories of me and a kid in like a Tonka truck. Like, I love like the Bronco Tonka truck, and it had the T-tops, you could hold it.
Oh yeah.
And maybe it was just the functionality of being able to hold my toy like that. Like, it had a handle. I don't know.
You were more of a
like, the big
businessman. You're just trying to hold your briefcase. That was your work truck.
I guess it had
Had a
to.
big, fancy like fire truck.
Yeah.
I love.
You were a
those
fire
ones.
truck guy?
I'm not. I wasn't growing up after the point of having those toy trucks. Never had any interest in them. But when I had them, it was so cool. You could put stuff in the bed, dump it off. You could go stop fires at the dollhouse.
Yeah,
next
just
door
turn the little thing and
Yeah,
Sister's dollhouse.
Yeah, they gotta do CPR on someone that just choked on like a fictional egg or something. You could create a million different things with a toy fire truck.
Kids today, they probably wouldn't learn.
No, because there's not an app for like fire truck toys.
No, CPR.
You can't.
The fact that
CPR.
The fact that we would know how to do CPR as a kid, just like have an idea of how to do it.
I knew what CPR was as a kid because a really attractive babysitter of mine practiced it on me. Like,
that sounds like a down the wormhole of
remember
a
the last
story.
time you talked about
Shades
getting assaulted?
RP'd, yeah.
yeah. I've had 2 different occasions of babysitters doing some weird stuff to me, and that ever since I was a young kid, it was just
weird babysitter shenanigans.
Weird stuff that kind of paved the path for my whole messed up, perverted mind.
Maybe that's why you don't. Maybe that's why you don't like women that are smarter than you. The babysitter intrinsically has to be a little bit smarter than you, right? She knows more.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just by being on this planet longer or whatever, and you're a kid and you're not okay to be left alone.
Well, I like quirky girls. I don't know. Maybe it's like a really specific niche that the babysitter hit, and then I'm just scared forever.
It very well could be.
I don't know. You're taking me down a dark path.
No, you took yourself. I was just sitting here. I mentioned Tonka truck. You went fire truck, whatever. We're still trying to go through the anthology of what made me such a weird, jacked up person.
Sorry about that. Sorry about talking about getting made out with by someone 17 years older than me.
We'll get back. Jesus, you had an old babysitter. Like, she couldn't hold a normal job.
Oh, I actually don't really. But that's the thing. I was really young, so she could have been 90 or 17. I couldn't tell you at the time.
Okay, yeah. So there's something in there.
Yeah.
We're gonna have to have you lay on the couch, and we'll drip water. We'll waterboard you until you.
What?
She looked like Madonna. Madonna touched me in my bad place.
I had a really crazy drug-free trip at Jake's last night.
That's right. No, dude, if you could have one somewhere, it would be here. But the dude sat on me on the Tonka truck because I wouldn't move. And I was like, you know, even then I think it was pretty practical and logical. I was like, hey, dude, there's like 38. And I wasn't like in the place he normally sits. Yeah. You know how everyone, your dad's got a spot. Like, yeah, get out of my chair, boy. Or,
So
you know, they've got the,
pick?
huh?
You just had a bone to pick with you?
I really don't know. Again, I was like 5 or 4 or whatever. And I was trying to I was cuddling with this girl on the yoga mat at, you know, preschool or whatever. So I had a lot going on in my head at the time, from what I can recall.
Right.
So I was like, dude, what are you talking about? Like, I'm sitting here. And he was like, move. And I was like, why would I move? Dude, you sit there. Like, that is your spot. But that day he wanted my spot.
Yeah.
And I guess maybe because I said no, he was like, you're going to get up. I'll sit on you. And I was like, no. Like, that seems unreasonable. Mm-hmm. And he sat on me. And when he did, he sat on me and, like, the Tonka truck tires, like, pushed in. And it wasn't, like, sat down for a second. Like, he was proving a point. Dude, and I was a little itty-bitty kid. Like, I was a tiny little skeleton redhead kid.
Yeah.
And he sat on me and, like, pushed and whatever. And I'm like, no.
That was before all the beefcake, man.
That's right. That's maybe what I was. I'll never be sat on again, damn
Yeah.
it. You know, I'm no chicken and an egg, you know. So all I remember that and my mom going haywire. And I got to give it to Mom. I mean, she's kooky and she wore me out after like 30 years on the planet where I was like, dude, I can't deal with you anymore. Like, if you're not pulling it together now, like, you're just stressing me out more than you're helping me. But she went bonkers. Not the first time, or not the last time, I should say. I'm talking throwing stuff at him. I'm hearing glass breaking, you know, fighting him with a pan and whatever.
Wow.
All I know is the next day I'm on a bus. I'm on a Greyhound going cross country. And there was some older black gentleman who was really cool and really nice to me. I'm fairly certain he may have taken Mom into the tiny little bathroom, you know, on the thing. My mom was pretty free with stuff.
Your mom was living free at that point. She
Yeah,
go to
and-
Woodstock?
Yeah, dude, everything.
Counted as a hippie.
Yeah. Oh, dude, for sure. Dude,
yeah.
I will
She
say,
was a hippie for sure.
say that it's kind of weird because you know my racial, you know,
You're all over the place.
all over the place, right? And I'm probably, you know, if one was to say something like that, I'm err on the side of liberal with, you know, most of my things, right? Like, dude, I don't care who you are, but that's wrong, and I point out injustice when I see it. I can't be fooled with, oh, just, you know, I'm not going to be bothered with that. I'm like, I get it. All my friends have been multicultural.
Right.
My mom loved everybody. Like, I don't care if it was a hobo, a bum. Like, she would, like, find bums and bring them home and let them, like, chill in the house, which couldn't have been safe.
No,
Right?
no.
So your mom was a saint.
Not even
to
slightly safe. That's
like,
insane.
Some part saint.
In a weird way. Like, dude, as far as, like, you know, no F's given about whatever, she would help people, but in no position to help herself, which I'm finding a weird thing. I've got like 3 or 4 girls that I know that want to help stuff, get an extra dog, having a baby when they can't take care of the one they have, and doing whatever, but they want to do these things. So, all right. So Mom goes at it like a ninja warrior with pots and pans and vases are being broken. And I don't even know how you break stuff on a trailer park wall. They seem to be kind of like, they should bounce back, but maybe this was a really good built one. I don't know. So go all the way back. Fairly certain Mom probably at least gave the old nice dude, because the dude bought me like a little Greyhound bus thing. I had it for years. And I was like, oh, that was like a trophy for this dude cranking my mom, right? Like, here, go play with the bus. And Mom did go absent for a while. So that could have happened.
Bus.
Yeah.
Yeah. You got bus play. She got bus play. Everyone got bus play.
Remind me about just remember to bring me back on that point, because it's kind of funny. Just remember Mom stuff.
Okay,
Maybe that's
Mom.
what it'll be, is my wacky mom.
Okay.
So we moved back to Texas. We moved to Texas. I'm there for a while. Mom goes kind of haywire. I get raised by my grandparents. Well, then my granddad, by the time I was in like 2nd or 3rd grade, I guess I was holding these don't do homework or don't do anything I'm supposed to, except yes ma'am, no ma'am to my grandmother and my grandfather.
Right.
But like schoolwork and everything else, because I saw something on a soap opera that the mom went away and the kid did some kind of thing. So I was watching this and I imitated reality. And it's weird because all my aunts, I've got 9 aunts and uncles, so they all bring up things, because I was raised by my grandparents, so they were all around the house.
Right.
Then they kick me up here. So in 3rd grade, I come here, right? And I'm a horrible student. I had nothing I was supposed to be doing was happening, right? So I was like, oh, that's crazy. I haven't really done anything I was supposed to. And I get up here and my dad's like, you will do this and you will do that. Now, already I have no study habits, no nothing. I think I only make it until 7th grade. So like 4 years here. And my dad kicks me back down to Texas.
You're just hacky sacking at this.
And here I went from living in Livonia, you know, when I was a kid, Texas, back here. And I lived in, God, what was it? Stony Brook and Honeytree, like the apartments up on Joy Road and 275.
Okay.
Which, not the greatest apartments or whatever. That's where I learned to fight a whole heck of a lot. I did a lot of fisticuffs there. And then my dad, I think I went to Texas and then I came back. Like it was only a 1-year trip. And my mom was just, you want to talk about a 1-year trip? It was a trip when I got there. Like nothing. I was sitting home alone, taking care of my little brothers. My grandparents were like, nope, you go back. So this kind of yo-yo happened. So I did 7th grade there, came here for 8th grade. By 9th and a half grade, my dad, my mom or them, someone thought it would, you know, it would be better for me to go back and then back and forth and whatever. So that was a.
So what grade are we at? Like now in this
I think I'm still in 12th grade. I'm not sure I've gotten past it. No, like just as a human being.
So you wait. So you went to when you went back to Texas. Was that 8th grade?
7th grade.
7th grade?
7th grade there, and then I came back for my 8th grade year. I made it through my 8th grade year, my 9th grade year, and like halfway through my 9th grade year, they, you know, I go there for like 4 months.
Yeah.
Right. And it wasn't even. You know, because now I'm in high school, not at the middle school that I was at in 7th grade, and there was 4 high schools in my city, right, big city. I just sounded like Trump there, big city, so huge. Big city, the huge. Biggest city. So I so different school, different group of friends, you know, whatever, right, redheaded, freckle-faced kid or whatever, right. So, and then I came back at the end of that year for my 10th grade year. So that was only like a 4 or 5 month venture and whatever. Why they kept giving me to my mom and it was not being like, it just wasn't working, right? Like it wasn't happening. So I come back for my 10th grade year. I make it my 10th grade year and then voom, there I'm back for my junior year. And I'm not even living with mom this time. I'm living with an aunt. My aunt was like, no, this isn't going to work. I'll take you. She was in no means, ready to deal with me as a teenager either. And then, so I make it through that year, but that was a good year. That's where I played Division 9 5A state finals, Texas Stadium, all that stuff in Texas. Nice. Then I come back to graduate with my friends, and I came back on my own this time. Okay. I went, I'll show you guys. Yeah. No more decisions being made for me. Oh, yeah. Came back to graduate with my friends and whatever, and and from that I've moved back and forth to Texas on my own. Like, it's now my safe place. If something goes wrong, I break up with a girlfriend that's epic, like not just like a regular chick, right? But like my
friend that became girlfriend.
From the summer of my junior year, senior year, and first year of college, we broke up. And as soon as my grades came in, like May 12th or whatever, and as soon as those came in, I hopped in my truck, drove myself. Mm-hmm. Now I'm gone. I came down there, stayed, missed 1 semester, whatever, came back. So, yeah, it's now my place when, like, if I've just had enough of Michigan.
When mess hits the fan.
Yeah. Okay, so, all right, hold on. Now, mom stories. Okay. I don't know how many of you, and this is why I took a soft spot with you with, shenanigans that happened over the last, month or two, right? I didn't probably go into this length with it, but, okay, I will, like if we were playing a board game of cards out there, my mom tried to get her friend to take my virginity.
Oh, my God.
Your mom is awesome. I mean, wait, was she?
Okay. No, and this lady was, dude, she was cool. She was super short and had like humongous boobs, like Dolly Parton boobs, but she wasn't fat. She was a hot chick, right?
Your mom is awesome.
Dude, pretty awesome.
That's a pretty cool mom.
It is pretty cool.
Pretty cool lady.
Pretty cool lady.
Maybe not like the best mom move.
Mom was a lot. She was a lot.
Would you rather hand your kid over to someone you know or to some random like sleazeball who they will consider a sleazeball off the street?
Yeah.
My son will
Well,
only partake
and
in
it
the
wasn't even
finest of
it
women.
wasn't like I was 18 and I hadn't like cracked
How
that.
old are you at this
Dude,
point?
I think I was like barely 16. Like I was like
wow.
maybe like
Okay,
a week into being 16.
That is actually bad then.
Yeah,
Yeah.
now we're getting dark.
But you also, I've been hypersexualized at a young age. Dude, red hair, freckles, whatever. I'm sure I don't even want to know the things I've done or tried to do in my young, like just what feels good phase, right? So seriously, okay. I remember being young enough that I think my mom or aunt, like one of her like 86 jobs was like being an Avon lady.
Okay.
And there was this, where you'd get some soap. You don't because you're like 12, and neither would you. But there was this thing once where you'd get the Avon stuff, and it'd be like a submarine, and you'd unscrew the cap, like the nose of the submarine.
Yeah.
And the stuff would come out, and they would like double as toys afterwards.
Right.
So like rubber ducky, a submarine, all these weird things that would. And I remember one of the Avon things. It was a glass car. And at the back of the car, like where a Lincoln or a Cadillac would have the the spare tire, you unscrewed that and you
didn't.
I actually do remember that. My step family, one of the older men on my step side, they had that in their basement. I remember that from as a kid because I'm like, that's poison.
Yeah.
We're not supposed to open it. That's poison. But I'm pretty sure that was like alcohol and not like cologne and
Yeah,
other
this
stuff.
was cologne though, yeah. And I mean it was alcohol based. I mean, I'm sure one of the bum hobos drank it and I thought I was using my 13-year-old cologne and the hobo drank it while my mom let him stay there for a weekend.
It's free liquor.
Yeah, like she would do makeovers for like some random hobo dude and whatever. And then, okay, cool, he just wander away one day.
I mean, it's better than doing it on monkeys.
Believe me, if there were random monkeys or whatever, she would have a house-trained monkey.
Oh,
Mom,
okay.
yeah,
As long as
Mom.
she didn't, like makeup on.
Yeah, no.
That was
Or
the
bang
thing I
the
was
monkey.
getting at.
Well, dude, just think about the mental and the psychological like inner workings of that head, where she tries to get her friend, or I think maybe she saw me staring at her or whatever, and I was like, oh my god, dude, just imagine like maybe double D's the first time you've ever seen him at 15, 16 years old. And she'd been friends with this girl for a while, so I kind of grew up in my moving back and forth. And yeah, she was like, well, and she brought it to me. It wasn't like, it just came to light years later. She went, you know what? Would you mess with so-and-so? Would you do this and that? And I went, what? And I was like, well, you haven't had sex yet, have you? Whatever. And I was like, dude, I'm like 15 and 3/4. Like I'm barely turning 16. And I think it was you lock yourself in the bathroom a lot, right? Like you're not showering that much, I'm no fool, but
You don't smell that good, son.
do you think if I could get this done, would you do whatever? And I'm like, what? And
So it was a bargaining chip.
it was a bargaining. I guess I don't know what and it would have been awesome if it would have happened. And she brought it up in front of her friend lady. You want to talk about embarrassed as balls?
What was her reaction to the whole thing?
She said, what? What are you? Oh my God! What are you? No, like patting me on the head and whatever. And I was like,
Instantly
jail.
putting you back in your place of your.
yeah, but I didn't say anything. I was just sitting there being a normal, 16-year-old or whatever. And she's like, nah, he should, and this and this, and she's like going through her mental Rolodex of what weird bar people that she could get me to, attempt to hump, I guess. So yeah, that was.
Mom's okay about your virtue.
Yeah, no, dude, come on. She's a realist. I'll give her that. Like you're never gonna remember this. Or I'm gonna screw up epically as a mom in life. So if I get this done for you, you know what I mean? Like I'm getting the ghetto pass for life.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
Maybe
was
she
a.
was just being a martyr at that point. She was like, maybe if I can make him so embarrassed about this, I'll set him on the right path.
Yeah, I don't know what or how or what the rationale. I've never had this conversation with my mom. I haven't talked to my mom in like 5-6 years.
Chances are she might deny him.
No. She'll remember it. She'll own it. This is where a lot of my zany, like me, I just don't care stuff comes from.
Yeah.
Being raised, and it took me a long time to get to that point, right? Like I actually cared way too much. Generally, when you're raised by someone that's that outward, socially or shenaniganly or whatever, you tend to be more reserved, right? Like I'm embarrassed by people acting that way because I was embarrassed by them, so I'm definitely not going to. It took me a long time to break the. I'm gonna just keep knocking that thing down.
Yeah.
So Yeah. You want to hear another kooky one? This is the first time one of my best friends at the time saw my mom naked.
Ooh.
And not like accidentally like walking into the bathroom. Of course I would. Oh, dude, I could do this. Dude, you know the girl that I married, she was like, well, my family's kind of crazy. And I went, I'm willing to out crazy your family. No matter what you have, I will dig deep. Like,
You got cards.
you can't go deeper than me.
Be like,
So
my mom is an Irish hippie.
an Irish
She
hippie,
had a lot.
madam.
Irish
ish.
hippie is like just like the title of a mad woman right there. Irish hippie.
Her,
Next HBO
her
hit.
nickname was Mad Dog. You know, go figure. All right, so
Trademark.
and I don't know if you guys have anything. I'll say this one, and then you can either throw in your own tidbits or you can just throw in the towel. However, or if you've got a weird, crazy family member or friend of family, like if you've got something to run this through. We moved, and again, okay, I missed this side move. I went from living in Dallas, right, like in the city, in Garland, Garland, Dallas. It was 2 streets over was Dallas. We moved to the country on a street called Tobacco Road, right? There was one Dairy Queen. There was like 2 cop cars and only one was in service at any time and nothing, right? And I mean, in the little area off this Tobacco Road, there was maybe 10 houses, right? So there's like 10 houses and it was in Quinlan, Texas, middle of nowhere. It's grown up a little bit now, but this was a while ago. The only recreation we had was one of the neighbors, like, 10 acres down, had horses, and they'd be cool and let you ride their horses, get them exercise or whatever.
Right.
We're out there, and I can't remember. It has to be like a 4th of July type thing or some kind of Memorial Day, one of those random holidays.
So due to the horse, Jake.
No. There's no Tijuana. Then again, I wasn't always around. So when we're out there was a lot of drinking going on, and I think I was maybe just turning 16. It was right about the time of, hey, maybe I'll get your virginity taken, huh? Yeah. Leave it out and I'll see if I can't get somebody to take it.
Of course there's drinking going on that side.
Of course, right? Because just the rationale. So as I'm doing, we're out there in the country in the middle of nowhere, and my buddy comes out from the city, right? And he's like, oh, come out and hang out with you. Well, he was maybe a few months older than me, but my mom was like, you know what? Here, take the car. So she gives me the car, right? Again, she's giving me the keys to the world.
Yeah.
Again, pretty cool mom in your assertion earlier. We're on dirt roads in the middle of nowhere. There are like 26 cars in the whole county. I think.
How old are you at that point?
I'm like 15 3/4, so I'm not old enough to.
Did you have a license?
No.
No.
Okay,
Did you
so,
have any idea of how to drive?
Oh, for sure. Come on, I was raised by wolves, dude.
Yeah.
You know how many drunk people I drove home from like 14 to? Brings up another mom story where she cut her 3rd or 4th husband's face with a fillet knife, and I had to drive him to the hospital in a 3 on the tree, like
so
old
you
school
actually
Ford
liked
van.
him.
Oh man.
So mind you, I've driven a time or two, right? So as I'm doing this, I'm like, oh, okay, cool, gives me the car and whatever. Maybe I even asked for the car. Like, Ma, can I? And she was like, Chris, keep an eye on him, and he was like, I got this.
Cool.
He was a Mexican, Hispanic dude, one of my best friends for life back then. So we go driving around some of these, and it was a Ford Maverick, which was technically a Mustang because it had a 302 and whatever. So it had all this, and it was fast. My mom always had fast cars, hence maybe why I like fast cars now. So I'm driving around these places, and what I didn't know was the lay of the land, that some of these roads, like when a rainstorm would come through, if there were trees, covering there and the Texas sun couldn't hit it, it would stay murky and whatever, and some of the runoff. So we're driving around these back roads and maybe looking for chicks, like, maybe like one of these houses had farmer's daughter, country girl somewhere.
Just outside taking a sun bath.
Yeah, something.
Perfect scenario.
So we go driving around and well, we're driving around, and then all of a sudden, and stops.
Uh-oh.
And I'm like, what do I do? And he's like, put it in reverse. So I'm back and forth. So the car gets stuck. So now I've got to walk like a mile or 2 through the goddamn wilderness with rattlesnakes, scorpions, and everything, right?
Oh my.
Wander all the way through. So we come walking up, and they have been drinking heavily.
Mm-hmm.
So when I get back, damn you, Jacob, where's the car? Where's my car? What did you do to my car? She starts flipping out. And my stepdad at the time was like, hey, calm down. what happened, whatever. And I was like, dude, I was driving, all of a sudden it's like mud or whatever, and it's not off the road, it's in the road. So I'm arguing, she's yelling and screaming, he's like, where's the car, blah blah blah. So we get in his truck, we go there. I think he hooks up like a tow strap and pulls it out. She drinks more and more and more, freaking out about her, like 10-year-old Maverick. It was in good shape and it was a fast car, but so we get it back. She won't stop. And she's yelling and screaming at my stepdad and whatever, who's taking my side in this. He was like, well, you dumb woman, you gave him the damn car. And hell, I would have driven down that dirt road. All we got is dirt roads and whatever. So man, knock it off, woman. And so we're outside. They take the argument in the house. Well, we finally, we notice there's not a ton of yelling. And then we walk in the house. And as we walk in, the yelling and screaming starts. She comes out and she was like, oh, okay. What, do you want my shirt then? Stepdad person.
I remember how we got to this conversation now.
And
it's all starting to come back.
And pulls the shirt off. And do you want my pants? So and so.
This is in front of you too.
And I'm like, and dude, when I like, people or overuse the deer in headlight, thing. And if you've ever really seen a deer in headlights, right? We stood there and went, oh, and my mom takes off her shirt and throws it at him. Takes off her shoes, chucks it at him. Takes off her pants. So now my mom is sitting there in a bra and panty, and he's like, dang it, woman, now you calm down and whatever, and you knock it off. Next thing I know, boom, bra comes off, boom, and now it's mom boobs, right? And I went, I think I kind of, and my buddy, I hear him chuckling, so I look over and I'm like, he takes my hand and he was like, come on, man. He was like, this is way too good. If this happened ever in my house, which it never would, I would allow you the whatever. And she takes off the breeches. So she is bare-assed naked.
Come on, Mad Dog.
Come on, right? Pull it together, right?
Come on, Mad Dog.
So completely naked. And my buddy, and I'm like, dude, whatever. And I was like, dude, I can't. Eyes burning, right? So I turn and go to walk out. And my buddy's standing there, and I grab him. He was like, come on, man. He was like, dude, not for nothing, but your mom's kind of hot. Like, dude, she's got a hot body. And I'm like, dude, shut your mouth and whatever. I was like, please stop talking to me. So we walk outside. She runs outside. Now, mind you, we're in the wilderness, in the middle of nowhere. Like, the closest house was like 5 acres away. It was anywhere from 3 to 5 acres before the next house that had 3 to 5 acres. So even at best, if they were, divided up, you were 5 to 6 acres away from someone.
Yeah.
And screaming at the top of her lungs, trying to get in her car and drive naked. My stepdad's trying to wrangle her. I think he picks her up, puts her over the shoulder. She's punching him, kicking him, and going back in the house or whatever. Which leaves me sitting. My stepdad, after he, I don't know, he may have smacked her with a pan, knocked her out, because I didn't see anything stopping this woman. Like, she had just gotten buck naked and, tried to get in her car and drive. And my stepdad came out, gave us a beer, right, which is only Texas, right? Who wouldn't give you a beer at 15, right? Which I used to drink in the shed with him and whatever at some points, but. So stepdad, right?
Seems like an old superhero from some sort of cartoon from the 80s or something, just here you go, kids, let me take care of this.
He was like, man, you never should have seen that, boy. I apologize.
Drink this to forget.
He was like, but he was like, that is your mama. And I went, oh, balls. So my buddy busted my chops for it forever and a day. So yeah, that was just one. And then I got the fillet knife story, but so anything even close, like, you got a crazy aunt.
Man, okay, so my family, I wouldn't say they're conservative, but they had kind of a rougher childhood, and they kind of got to the point where they're like, okay, I don't want to mess my kids up like, my parents kind of messed me up at a young age. So they were very tame, and they were ready to have kids when they had kids. The craziest thing I think ever happened was my mom's brother. He was, the half brother. He ended up having a few different relationships at the time. They were living in a trailer park, and he was having, wife after wife. I think there was probably 3 or 4 wives at the time. and he had a son, right? And he eventually abandoned his son for his new wife's son and left him with his mom and left the entire family. Michigan.
That's kind of a dick move.
Yeah, he just moved. Depressing. He just moved to Wisconsin with a new family and it blocked all. He blocked me on Facebook, even though I was like 16 at the time. I had nothing to do with any of the drama that was going on. But there was this one time before all that happened. We were just chilling at the house, and this is where I knew that this new wife was kind of crazy. We're all sitting there having like a family event. It was like a birthday celebration of some sort. So he has one of those houses where it's kind of like the front door is the garage. So you walk through the garage into the door and you get in the house. The whole family, my dad, my uncles, my grandpa, were all just chilling in the living room. And this guy that no one has any idea who it is just walks in. Starts yelling at my uncle, starts yelling at his girlfriend or wife or whoever at the time, and no one knew who he was. He just walked into a room full of an entire family and started trying to pick a fight. And it was weird because I was like 16 and my cousin was like 18, and we're like, okay, I guess we have to go fight this guy.
Yeah, no, that's a logical,
family.
Yeah.
That's probably the craziest moment that I think I've had. I don't have a weird family. Like, all my weird situations have been with like friends. My family life has been really tame, and it's kind of a healthy family. But
nice.
But yeah, it was just a really weird time because he was like abandoning the family, and there's this weird guy walking into the house, and
whatever came of the weird guy.
It was like an ex of the girlfriend's, and I guess he was unhappy that my uncle was seeing her, and he showed up at my uncle's house to confront him and start a fight about it.
Nice.
It was very weird.
Okay.
So,
and you were there and privy for it, whatever.
Yeah, I was 16 years old, about ready to fight a grown man with like 7 other guys in my family. It was kind of cool, but he ended up running away.
Well, yeah, and probably good for him, right? A bunch of youngsters ready to.
Yeah, it would have just been it would have been like a free for all at that point. I mean, could you imagine walking into a house and having a range of 16 to like 45-year-olds punching you at the same time? It'd be embarrassing.
Yeah, no, that would have probably not been very, very good for him.
I nothing ever weird happened with my mom that I can remember. I don't know.
No, that's good, because this gives a very good amount of contrast to the zany, like, why I'm the person that I am. Yeah. You were raised whatever, so that like raised your eyebrow seeing something so bizarre. Yeah. No, and this is what's rough about me, right? A lot of people will go, Jake talks a lot and he does whatever. I'm sorry, but I have a lot of content. My life was, I think, there's a joke. I'm going to get off mom here with the, whatever, that's what she said, or, hey, let's, I'll go to an uncle. All right. My uncle was the one good one out of the family. Like, everybody else has done weird, crazy, stupid stuff, and they've all done, horrible, stupid stuff and whatever. So they go through this whole deal, and my uncle, he's the sane one. He's been married, he does everything right and whatever. He flips out and divorces his wife overnight. Just, that's it, I'm done. And whatever, right? And of course, there's marital problems that nobody knows and whatever, but it shocked everyone in the family because he was the good one.
Of course.
Well, then when he did, and this was after my grandmother passed, and she was obviously the matriarch of the family and kept everyone together. And, I think he was only good because he just didn't want to cause any more problems like everyone else,
Yeah.
So goes through this, gets a divorce. He ends up dating his ex-wife's mom.
No,
that's different.
Yeah, right. So, and again, right. I think this is what got me married, right? Because she, when we went into whatever, and I think we were at the like Lone Star Steakhouse or Texas Roadhouse or whatever, sitting in a thing, and you know, she was like bearing her soul about whatever, and I was like, oh no, don't feel. I feel really. I don't know. It's just, you know, I just want you to know. And I went, hey, try this. So he starts dating this. So now his son sees him dating his grandma, right? So he's dating a grandma at the time. Don't get me wrong. She was a hot grandma.
Yeah.
Okay. She was like a yoga instructor.
Oh, that's
and this
a
was
hot
like,
grandma.
you know, this
That's
was
a
like
hot
what,
grandma.
like 30 years ago. So he's dating, and she was like, she had fake bolt-ons, right? So she had the fake boobs, and Texas could be like every debutante thing you've ever seen with the heavy, like the thickest, like cut it with a butter knife and smear it on bread, Texas accent, female, and she was well-to-do. And it was weird. So he's dating the grandma. He's going completely off the rails, right? So now I've only got 2 sane family members left. Everyone else is completely, you know, BS crazy, right?
Who's the sane ones at this point?
My aunt, 2 of my aunts. All the uncles, right? Totally, you know, he was the only one holding it together.
Yeah.
So he does this. My aunt lady from, you know, that he married, whatever, was all I knew her was an aunt, not like, you know, just some chick that my uncle married or whatever. She flips out and kind of goes like, you know, she can't deal with it. And just imagine, like, dude, you break up with you know, you've been married and have a child and have all this, and you've been together, high school sweethearts, get married, the whole 9, and then your girlfriend marries your dad, right? And then you've got a kid together, so the kid and the thing, and she spins off. She worked on the Psychic Friends Network. She was a phone operator for the Psychic. I've known her my whole life. She went so kooky, like couldn't deal with it. She became a psychic friend.
Whoa.
Yeah.
So, wait. So she got so messed up from the whole situation that she
Became psychic.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Or maybe it was just a job at something you answer like in the back of a magazine or whatever.
I think you get that job by reaching a certain point in your life where that's the only thing you can do at that point.
Yeah. Well, and she came back from it. She is salt of the earth and awesome. And my uncle is a great dude. Like, it was just a really weird time in his life because he is my favorite uncle. Like, he is my uncle. He's my homie. I talk to him more than anyone in my family. He's my dude. But he was a bit like, you know, cuckoo.
Yeah.
And she has a great life now. Like, sometimes I think that some of these things, albeit, you know, the situation could be different. It could have just been a regular divorce, and he could have dated a 19-year-old like the rest of us, right? You know, you could have just done that. But, you know, the mom thing and
kind of messed up on the mom's part.
Right?
Yeah.
See, there you go. Like,
Well,
let's
Like,
throw
it's
some
messed up
shade
both
on the
parts,
granny.
But granny, sorry.
Yeah.
No,
You were kind of insensitive to your daughter.
It's really
kind of
weird.
messed up.
I mean, it's insensitivity all around. It's a horrible thing. Like, what in the world were you guys thinking, right? Like,
well, it's one thing to hook up with them, right? It's another thing to marry into the original family, right?
yeah.
Hooking
That's
up is already bad enough.
That's a completely different
Yeah.
wormhole to go down.
And it eventually went sideways, like most relationships do, and it just kept wiggling and wrangling around, and yeah, she's got a great life now. She lives out in the country. You know, dude's a good dude. You know, she's got a great life and whatever. I haven't seen her in forever, you know, but she's great. My cousin, you know, he's as crazy as the rest of me and all my cousins.
Is
right?
he messed up from the whole thing?
I mean, yeah, he was an interesting kid, dude. My cousin, he was a quiet, like, shy kid and whatever, and he was the youngest. All of our other, you know, me and the rest of my cousins were at a certain age, and we're all crazy, right? You know, this isn't normal, and this isn't sane. There's no way I can be. I hold it together here, and hey, what's going on? But who acts like they're on a stage all day long, every day of their life, for no apparent reason?
I don't know. We should probably get into that. Figure it out.
Yeah, I really don't know why, but it's my thing. It's what I do. I don't know why I do it. But then again, think about the content that I have. Like the rest of you had a bad month or two, right? You had a bad month and the things aren't good. I'm, just turned 20. Yeah, bad year. I've had a bad life. My life has been, and the weird thing is I made, lemonade out of the lemons because dude, it's laughable. You can't, there's no way I can be like, oh, woe is me.
Yeah.
Eventually I just went, ha, Look at that. This is, of course you would. Why wouldn't you? That is my response to most everything. Huh?
I wish I could. Like, my life is more sad.
Well, hang out with me long. Dude, does that sound happy? Have you seen your mom naked? Throwing stuff and whatever? You didn't chime in, so okay. You
see the look on his face when
not
you
like
said that.
accidentally, like whatever, but
He's like, yes.
Oh, okay. Not on purpose.
Not on, hey, let's go in and get a Coke out of the fridge, and her chucking stuff and, naked, and your friend going, hey, dude, that's it.
Open the
Stop
refrigerator door, and she's just spread eagle in there.
Yeah, no. Well, and it was nothing weird. Okay, there were some other weird. Yeah, I had to almost fight a table full of. I almost had to fight a table full of grown, like, drunk dudes, because my mom just went one day, and she would do this on many occasions. She would, well, I'm gonna go out with I think the girl that she was trying to get me to take or hand off my virginity like a baton, with that lady, and she just wouldn't come back for like 1 or 2 days, right? And I've got a 6 and a 7-year-old brother, so guess who? I can barely take care of myself, right? I'm a horrible person, but I'm getting up at combing my brother's hair, doing this and that, getting them off to school, making sure. So I'm not going to school, right? Because I just had to do parent stuff.
Yeah.
I'm not going to school. What if my brother, my brothers need something? So I would miss like 3 to 4 weeks of school. She'd be gone here and there, and then, she'd come back and be hungover or just, whatever. So she left one time, and that was it, and just boom. And didn't come back, and I didn't call my aunts and uncles and do whatever. And I don't know if it was I was ashamed or I got this.
Yeah,
right?
probably both.
I think it was like 13, 14 at the time this was happening a lot. Hence why I guess I kept getting kicked back to Michigan.
Yeah.
Because, she'd just go away for multiple days. And
take care of your mom, please.
Yeah. So, yeah, those it was weird because I finally called one of my aunts, and I was like, hey, auntie. She was like, hey, what's going on? Blah, blah, blah. And we all lived like 15 miles away from one another, but the only place we all saw each other was at Grandma's house. Nobody came to my mom's house. Nobody went to my aunt's house.
She's the Kool-Aid house.
That's right. It was the popsicle. It was popsicle in my world. Always had popsicles. Never a day was there not a popsicle in that house.
Ooh.
Well, I just know that's what it's called because we never had Kool-Aid. We used to growing up.
The Kool-Aid house? I never heard that term before. Is
Yeah,
that
that's
just
what
like
my family used.
the safe house for treats?
Yeah. No, grandma had it on lock. But I finally called, and my aunt was like, what? And, well, how many days has it been? Why haven't you called me sooner? Blah, 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 blah. And I went, this happens what? And I was like, yeah, this is like every other week. But we're running out of food. You know what I mean? Like, there's nothing I can make them.
I can only heat ravioli up so many times.
Dude, I'm talking fried bologna sandwiches. I did the cheese with mustard on bread. Like, dude, I worked it down to there was nothing left in that house because I got to take care of. I'm trying not because they're unhappy and sad.
Yeah.
My life's already been ruined, right? So I'm trying to make it as fun as possible. Like I'm doing fun brother stuff. We would like Easter egg hunt the whole house for change, and then we'd get whatever change, and we'd go down to the little corner store. And we'd get like candy bars, right, and come back like, ooh, the internet's down or internet speed slow. Try and live this life, right?
Yeah.
So eventually, my aunt drives me over to there's a reoccurring thing with the almost virginity lady, right? Because that's her friend.
Yeah.
Go over there and was like, no, last time I saw her was like 3 days ago.
Oh no.
So she left her after the first day, but never came home.
You got a mystery on your hands.
Yeah, no, it was a lot like Scooby-Doo and whatever old mystery things. So she called around and she did this, and then we called a couple of my uncles, right? So then it was like a web. This was like the first understanding of like multiple search engines and like the internet, right?
Right.
But it was done with a rotary phone, like ring, ring. So everyone called, everyone put it together. They called their friends, and they kind of just pinpointed her in until they got a bing. She's at Kelly's bar in whatever, and this is like 3 cities over. Well, at this point, I forget what had happened. Like my aunt thought things were cool. Like, oh, we kind of know your mom or whatever, or where she's going to be. Or I maybe just dropped me off over there. She had to go pick up my cousins from school because she was a responsible adult. So I'm there and I went, well, can you, and she was like, oh, I can. So she drives me close to the place, but still drops me off and I have to walk like on foot. And I was on foot, dude. It seemed like forever. So I get to this bar. Now, mind you, I think it was 16-ish, And when this time had happened, you know, my balls had kind of dropped a little bit, right? And I've been playing football, I've been lifting weights, I boxed, I'd done everything, right? So I walk in, and there's my mom, and she's happy to see me. That's my boy. Hey, everybody say hello to Jacob, right? Of course, not like, oh my God, my kid's here, I gotta go. Hey, pull up a seat, whatever. And they were, you want a beer, boy? And I went, and I was like, hey, cool. Now, my family, all my uncles ran like the town, bars and whatever. They were all big dudes. They were all gnarly and fought, and you know, everyone, dude, they were scared of my grandfather. My grandfather was still gangster, like at that time, like construction worker, big. He looked like John Wayne. My grandfather fought like people. He beat up like 3-4 guys at a time, and so did my uncles.
The IRA, man,
dude, they were like feared. Yeah. The Ireland family was feared in that town. Then, you know, get to that point because when I walk in, I was like, hey, blah blah blah. And dude was like, want a beer, boy? And I was like, you know, I just kind of looked at these 4 dudes, kind of sized them up or whatever. I think there was only 3 that were doing. One dude was just like out, like bar napping. And I look and I go, hey, I was like, cool. I was like, we got to go. And she was like, no, we're having fun. Sit down. I'll get you some food or, you know, have a beer. And I'm like, I'm 16. What's happening? So I'm like, no. And I think I had my football gear on. I had something football, you know, indicative on. And I was like, no. And I was like, and I just reached over and boom, grabbed her by her arm. And I was like, look, I was like, woman, I was like, get up. You've got 2 kids at home. Forget me. But we've got 2 kids at home and there's no food and whatever. I was like, why do you think I'm here? And she was like, oh, you know, kind of arguing with me a little bit. And I had 1 or 2 of the dudes. Dude stands up, was like, why don't you relax, boy? You know, get your hands off your mama. And I was like, you and you. I was like, I'm gonna give you about 3 seconds to shut your old drunken mouths, or I'm gonna beat both of you where you stand. I was like, not another word out of either one of you. I was like, I swear to God, dude, make a move. I'm knocking you out, right? And I'd puff up, and I did one, dude, the ball's like, you know, really furled up. But then again, it's my mom, and I've got brothers and whatever. And dude, I will beat you old drunken people, you know, like nobody's business. The bartender pulls out like, you know, one of those little you used to get the little mini bats from, you know, Tiger Stadium or whatever, except this one was a Texas Ranger. And he smacked the thing, and he was like, I'd sit down, you two. He was like, you know who that boy's, you know, granddaddy is? And they looked over at him, and he went, that's William Ireland's grandson. Oh, no. And they looked at me, and he goes, I'm not even going to mention Terry, Jerry, and Danny. And they went, boom. I think one sat down, another one got up and walked away. And I kind of looked at the barkeep. He was like, get your mama out of here, boy.
Oh, man.
I'm surprised people in your town actually, like, did stuff with your mom because they'd be afraid of her brothers and her dad.
There was no stopping my mom. My mom would drink with my granddad, right? It was as long as you weren't doing anything to harm your kids or whatever, but nobody was around and she was out partying. And they were just as worse or just as bad. Dude, my granddad was, he's got 9 kids and he's drunk at the bar beating people up and whatever, right? Like they would demolish a bar. They would get in a bar fight, like my granddad and a couple of my uncles, demolish a whole bar. And then grab me and go, hey, you're coming with me. It's a Saturday or a Sunday. And I was like, where are we going, Granddad? You're going to help me do some stuff. And he was like, we got to fix. We go there. It was a bar that they broke up, and they would have to put the door back on and reset the door. And there were busted windows, and they would have to go fix the place that they, you know, that they demolished. Like they beat up like half a bar and threw people through windows and stuff, and they had to go back and fix it the next day.
That sounds awesome.
Which, dude, seriously, this could be a movie. Like this is Shameless, but like the Shameless Country edition.
Yeah, with the Irish and everything.
Yeah,
you got to go 20 years in the past.
Yeah,
if you dissected half of like your childhood, you could probably write like 7 screenplays.
The weird thing is, I'm gonna watch this back, or you know, we'll listen to the recording on this. I don't even know how we got here. These are things I haven't thought of. It was funny because the Beastie Boys were playing in the background.
Yeah, like
I can do anything like Beastie Boys and whatever. I remember where I saw the license when I first got the License to Ill album. I was at my buddy Alex's house and Stony Brook and this, and we left that night and we snuck out the window and we went over and I think we drank like, you know, like global beer at somebody else's house, listening to whatever, snuck back in, got caught, did whatever. Like everything everything I see, think, or whatever, I've got a story for.
Just flashback right back to
Yeah.
something crazy happening.
Because, dude, I didn't lead like a normal existence. From what I told you guys, I haven't told you. How long have you been in here? How long have you been in here? The crazy naked mom story, the me yanking my mom out of a bar and almost fighting drunken old men, and the fact that my family in Texas was
The mob.
yeah, of just country construction worker mobs, but they drank like every day, and they went to every bar, and they fought everybody, and they driving back drunk and shooting out we shot out the streetlights. They literally would drive with guns and shoot out streetlights and whatever, and then wake up and go build a barn in the morning.
Family.
It's like a different time, though. Imagine doing that nowadays. It'd be all over the news.
Well,
Be locked up.
and it was
Yeah,
Texas
all
at the time where you could still have a gun on your gun rack, and
Yeah.
so different time, different place.
Lawlessness.
Yeah, it was shenanigans.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've got I mean, dude, we could do this all day. Like, yeah, it's weird. I didn't think that it would go, and that's why when you were like show prep, if there was something really topical that had come about,
Yeah.
but dude, I seriously have 6 or 7 books in me that can just come out.
Well, that's why I was like,
6 or 7
is there any
series.
topics for today? But at the same time, I was like, I'm not worried because I could say the word dog, and Jake will be like, oh, yeah. Well, this one time, seven fortnights ago, and I was just climbing a mountain in Scandinavia. I'm
Yeah.
Like, okay, man. Well, let's hear about it.
Well, and then my national sales travels and going here and there, and pulling a vampire, and turning waitresses into girls that may be more apt to have a little bit of fun when the out of town businessman is there. I mean, dude, I've done a lot the fact that I just come in here and help people quit smoking on a daily basis is bizarre to all the things that I've done and the weird.
Yeah, you should be helping people get through PTSD and mob scenarios.
Well, and that's why, and it did lead to a point where you're like, oh, my life's just more sad. It becomes like you have the option of letting things affect you, you think any of those things, I wasn't maybe sad or whatever. Yeah. Dude, there was some despair in those days and years. And dude, I'm scratching the surface. I've got literally 250 stories that are just as bizarre, just as creepy, just as weird and whatever. And that's just mom, right? Mm-hmm. That isn't even going into the extended family. So at some point it becomes laughable that you just go, no, it couldn't get any worse than this. And it does. And then you just go, wow, I'm still here, right?
That's life,
and what better way to make fun of it, right? Because if you take it in, of course it's going to be in there and it's going to be dark and gloomy. It's like pouring Kool-Aid into ice trays and putting, the cellophane across it and putting toothpicks in it and making a homemade popsicle. It's what I've done with life. I've made, ice cube tray popsicles and pretended it was a popsicle.
Well, if nothing ever goes wrong in life, you never grow. You never get to where you are now. If everything was perfect in your life, where would you be? If you had a perfect life, where would you be right now?
Oh, I don't know. I'd be a sissy. I'd be way too thin-skinned if something went wrong. And yeah, no, dude, stuff goes wrong all the time, and I just power right through.
You wouldn't be talking to this microphone right now.
No, probably not.
You wouldn't.
Well, on the offside, maybe I'd be sitting on a beach somewhere, and that'd be fine if I didn't have to know. And it could be, maybe I'd be listening to a podcast of some other dude going, "Oh, your life sucks,"
Yeah.
huh?
Or you can be in an asylum just.
Hey, who knows? Maybe I am. Maybe this is a figment of my imagination. Maybe I'm rocking somewhere going, yeah.
You know what? And hats off to you if that's the case, because this would be a pretty amazing thing for you to just create.
Yeah. Yeah, the mind's an interesting thing. Yeah, I don't know. It's really, really weird. But see, everyone has their own perspective. I make it funny. Other people have other things that go on in their life that are, horrible, bad stories to them. Right. So it's, perception is reality in that, in that aspect. So yeah, it's kind of why I don't get down or I don't do whatever, there's just no point in it, man. Be like, at least I'm not, trying to find my mom somewhere. Not like I'm, fighting old men, like not, way too young. I fought every one of my stepdads. The good stepdad that went, hey, sounds like a good dude. I ended up fighting him, whooped him too. It was neat. because that was like my first old man victory where I actually whooped a full grown man.
Wow.
But my little brothers were in semi-peril and whatever, and there was no other man to be around. I was like, that was the
Popeye.
Yeah, what do I got to do?
You have to at that point.
Yeah. So I mean, and then it was out of the like 6 of them, there was another 3 of them that I had to eventually do the same thing, and then it just got to a point to where I really couldn't fault the dudes anymore. And I remember it was her last. Well, the one before last, and oh, blah blah blah, and she's crying wolf, and there's all this and that and whatever, and I went, and my uncles were like, man, we're gonna have to go whoop him and go do whatever, and I'm a full grown man at this time, right?
Yeah.
And I'm down there, and I'm bigger than my uncle, bigger than my uncles, and I'm lifting, I'm benching 365 pounds. My uncles won't even mess with me anymore. I'm a big dude at the time, and I'm like, and I'm only like 21.
Yeah.
And I went, no. And they went, what? That's your mama, boy. You take up after your mama and whatever. And I went, no. Do you not see a pattern forming that all these dudes can't deal with my mom, right?
Yeah.
She does some pretty random things. There's a pretty good chance she said something horrible to him, punched him in the face, drove his car smack dab into a brick wall. You know what I mean? Like,
Bit wild.
what do you want me to do? I saw her yesterday. I didn't see a black eye. I didn't see whatever. They got into a fight. She's a good storyteller. Wonder where I get it from. And I'm like, no. And I sat that one out. My uncles went over there, and they got into it with him, and they broke his leg. They snapped his friggin' leg right above his ankle in half.
Ooh.
They had to take his stomach muscle. Like, they had to take, like, one of the a piece from his stomach or something and wrap it around his ankle to stabilize his ankle, which is a really weird surgery. I don't know if the regular guy wasn't in.
It sounded like they imported that guy straight from some sort of like woods of Russia or something. I don't think that's...
No. I've got this. Yeah. You think. You're a skinny man. You don't use all of stomach anyways. Come to me.
No, he's... Oh, my gosh.
Yeah. And my crazy granddad, who was, the head of, whatever... He fell off a scaffold, messed up his leg, cut his fingers off. They sewed his fingers back. If you just want to hear about weird hillbilly, Texas surgery, they sewed, they found the fingers, right? So they bring the fingers in a cup of ice and they do whatever. So they couldn't get at it right away or something. So they sewed his fingers, or because the alcoholism was so rough, they sewed his fingers into his stomach, right? They cut it. They're really into stomachs in Texas. So they sewed it into, there, because they had to do something to, before they could perform surgery, or they couldn't stop the bleeding or something, I don't know. And when they did, they took it out and they put his fingers on. So he had he couldn't bend the fingers. It was like the claw or whatever, right? Well, every time he drank and his beer belly would grow, so would because some of the cells or whatever, and that's weird, and that would get puffy, and when he'd lose weight, it would shrink. It was the weirdest thing ever.
So crazy.
I swear that can't be a figment of my imagination.
Opened my mind to some really weird surgical procedures.
Have fun Googling this to find out that it's a real thing or whatever.
I'm not sleeping tonight.
Yeah.
Apparently.
Oh.
Apparently I'm not. Oh, look what she did.
Probably shouldn't have moved that now, should I? But we're going to go ahead and wrap this up. And, God, we might have to do, or maybe we'll do like a once-a-week Jake's Crazy Family, because there's more. There's a whole lot more people.
You got like 10 more years of that going, man.
Yes. There is quite a bit. So, yeah. So I don't really know where to go from here, but go ahead and wrap it up. And this is the Bachelor Pad Radio.
It's nice talking to you guys again.
Well, yeah, let's maybe after you don't get sleep for a little while. So
I'll be fine. I don't need sleep per se.
Sleep?
Well, this is neat. I remembered a whole lot of stuff, which should jog my memory. Which all you guys got to do is maybe have a little conversation before, and hey Jake, what about this, and we'll see where it goes.
I think I can get anything out of you at this point.
Oh dude, it happened. What am I gonna do?
Little trigger words.
Yeah, it's all good. So yeah, that is that. So this is the JakePodcast.com, Bachelor Pad Radio, YouTube Live. Later.